when they won it, although Peyton's going to get the accolades. Brock Osweiler was 5-2 in that 7-game span that he started. And it was essentially the same offense. So I was nervous. I was pleasantly surprised with the complete domination. Quick touching on Ajayi, I thought they used him perfectly. Give him a couple easy runs, a couple easy option plays to get into the offense. And then, of course, he breaks the one. And solidifies the fact that I didn't trade him that week for Deshaun Watson like I was trying to. I was trying to sell high. Get Deshaun Watson, and beta Eagles lover in fantasy, and it didn't work out, and thankfully it didn't. So
yeah, and just to get to a couple of the Facebook quotes here, we're going to start off the very first one. Thomas Arnone, thank you for having us aboard.
Ones and twos.
Jamie Lasher, I got confused. I thought someone shot the fellas with a shrink ray. Well, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, sir.
I won't. Listen, my apologies. I'm a dope, and the YouTube quick never went through on my end. So if you're wondering where the hell the YouTube was, and for people just jumping on YouTube, that's on the boss over here. I take full responsibility. It's my Andy Reid. Time's yours.
Oh, man. Pop Montanez, what up, fellas? Pop, yep, I've heard his name quite a bit watching the show, so looking forward to interacting with you, Pop.
Thanks for tuning in.
But what up to everybody out there? David Rosca, O.J. Simpson, free from prison. What do you think? Well, if the story is true about the hotel bar in Vegas last week, then we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I mean the juice is loose. But yeah. I mean, guys, we had a really good we were able to kind of see all facets of the game really come together against the Broncos. I think that for the Broncos, there's a lot of questions now because this is now 2 games in a row where they really got manhandled. But no, a lot of encouragement for us coming out of this week. I agree. I thought Ajayi was fantastic. And again, it just shows, how the guy played in Miami for 7, 8 games, couldn't get a touchdown in. And, when you're running behind a strong offensive line who's creating
so
holes.
Much of a difference.
I mean, he's a power back that runs north and south. And I thought he had a little bit more speed. He looked like he was running out of gas when he was running towards the end zone. I got a little concerned there.
It was one of those things where watch my mellow yell here, but it was one of those things where, like, you heard the reports coming out of Miami, like, the knees, and then as he's galloping through the end zone, I'm like, that might be real.
Well, I did read an article during that week before he actually played.
Yeah, definitely bring that up.
Yeah, where they were, and I don't remember the doctor's name, but it was a doctor who was kind of addressing the chronic issue that he has with his knees. And he said, really, a guy his age, he said, it's actually a very common issue that goes along with athletes. A guy his age, with the right conditioning, he could have another 5, 6, 7 years productive before it really does become an issue with the degenerative knee issue that
Which
he has.
is normal for running backs. Running backs, they hit 28, 29. That's when you start to see that decline.
Right.
You have people like LaShawn McCoy and Adrian Peterson who that's not the case with, but most of the time, 28, 29, you start to see it. So if that's the case with Ajayi, I'll take it, especially for that 4th rounder. I mean, a guy who is as talented as that, definitely worth that risk. I would do it in a heartbeat. And to what you said about the touchdown, like you saw him kind of losing gas, like, from a scouting point of view, and I've read up all the scouts on when he was drafted. He doesn't have long speed, but the thing is, the reason why he's such a big play guy, it's because of that burst. His burst is amazing. It's elite almost because he gets from 0 to 100 in like a second. So that's the thing. That's why he's such a big play, guys, because he kills those angles that defensive backs are trying to pursue because they think, okay, here's a big guy, here's Ajayi, he's taking his time. But then once he gets to that hole on the 2nd level, 3rd level, and he hits that next gear, like they're in the dust. So I think that's why you see him make all these big runs from last year, big plays, because of that burst.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously this was a short-term and a long-term move. He's the same age as Carson. There's questions with what's going to happen as far as, are we going to bring back LeGarrette Blount next year? Is Darren Sproles in the mix next year? What do we have with Smallwood? There's a lot of inconsistency there.
A lot.
Coming out of this game, though, I was very, very impressed and even more encouraged with what we saw from Clement.
He gets better.
Yeah.
Every week. And I will say that as a guy that was skeptical. I will admit that he looks a lot better each week, and that his attitude in running is the key, because he's not the most physically gifted guy, and you can see that he's
a workhorse.
Yeah, he has that attitude, a nasty attitude. He's gonna grind out yards. So to his credit, and I will admit that I was down on the guy, but he's surprising me.
Yeah, you guys remember that guy Donnell Pumphrey?
Yeah, he's redshirting right now. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think,
easy on him.
I don't think that's a name to just throw away. I mean, yeah, we laugh about it and joke about it, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's a name to throw away yet. He definitely didn't have the preseason and the start that I think everyone thought he was going to. But,
And I've said this on our show when we were on YouTube before. The thing is with Pumphrey, people don't realize if you don't look at what he was doing back in San Diego State, he wasn't returning punts. He wasn't being used to catch passes out of the backfield or being split out wide. He was used traditionally in a single back or I formation kind of running back, a traditional type of running back.
Yeah.
So that's why he broke the record. That's what he's done all of his college career. So you put him out there to learn new things. Of course, it's a good setup because he's got Sproles there who was mentoring him. But you put him out there, you have him doing things he's not used to doing. It's going to take time. Of course, he's not going to look as explosive. And plus, he did put on like 9 to 10 pounds of muscle. So he's got to get used to playing with that muscle behind him.
Sure.
So people always – it drove me crazy because people want to already write him off like, oh, that's a waste of a pick. Guys, it's 1 year. The guy is hurt. He's on IR. Great. It's easy to poke fun at him and say that's a waste of a pick. It's 1 year. You guys remember Dion Lewis? He tore up the Broncos. The other night, last night, and he's doing well for the Patriots. It's things with running backs sometimes they do take a year or two, and so pump the brakes on all the Pumphrey hate out there. Honestly, I will say from day one, just calm down.
Well, I'll tell the other side to calm down. The 2.0 Sproles comments coming through Facebook. I mean, stop it. Just stop it because the guy weighs the same amount and his measurables.
Well, he doesn't.
He doesn't
weigh the same. He's like a little. Well, he's short.
I'll break the news to the people real quick, and I got to go away really because I'll just break the news. And the newsbreaker here is he won't be in the league in 3 years. Okay? Write it down.
I'm with you.
He's not going to be in the league in 3 years. He's just a guy. If you can't step on a football field day one from a running back position, you're not going to be in the league very long. It's not the old days. That's the one position on the football field besides third down and besides having to pick up pass blocking schemes and learn all that stuff. If you can't get on the field 1 or 2, see you. And I'll see you guys too.
I will say I disagree. I'm willing to have a little bit of patience with him. I've seen running backs take time to get their groove behind them, but you could be right. I'm not saying he's definitely going to be someone. I'm just saying.
Aren't we still waiting for Stella to get her groove back too from that movie a long time ago?
I never saw it.
I don't know.
I don't know if she ever did.
Never saw that movie. I never saw that.
Real quick, I got some YouTube comments.
Yeah, I was
here.
about to get to that. Yeah.
Todd Womack, what's good, guys?
What's good, Todd?
What's going on?
What up, Tom?
Todd, we'll get to your question right here in a second.
Todd.
Chev 93, Cowboys week. I enjoyed watching the Cowboys lose with all the same injuries we have. Next man up. They don't know what that means. Agreed, Chev?
I literally had somebody arguing with me on Facebook that Dan Bailey was like the key to the Cowboys' loss.
I mean, he's not the key, but he doesn't miss.
I wanted to bang my head against the wall. It was like talking to
Todd Womack follows up. What do you guys think about the depth signing?
It's depth signing.
Oh, listen, I loved what the Eagles did this week. I mean, we'll talk Jernigan later, but I liked signing Will Beatty this week or today, right? They signed that today. It's a great depth signing that'll give a little bit of leeway or a little bit of protection behind Big V, and that's also with the Ajayi addition as well because he's probably the best blocking running back in football. I love that deal. Bringing on Ellerby.
Best, but he's improving. He's improving what we have.
But he's one of the best. But you're talking about, then you bring in a guy like Ellerby who's a winner.
Yes.
The guy has won. He's played on great teams and great systems.
Better than Joe Walker.
Yeah.
Better than we have Joe Walker. So
I mean, and that's the one word that you just used, and that's the one thing with Beatty and Ellerby is they're winners. They've been in that been in that deep season before. They've gone to that 17th, that 18th, that 19th game in a season before. So, I think regardless of the impact that they truly do have, I think the impact more is in the locker room, is in the film room,
100%.
is helping these guys out. Because Ellerby was hurt. I don't know, the full status. Obviously he's full go if we signed him,
right?
But what's his impact going to be right away? It's tough to say.
Right.
Beatty is truly that, a depth guy. But I think it solidifies that, hey, V, you're there,
and a guy that's been in this division, so
right.
he knows
what it
you're
takes
there,
but
to play at a high level in the
happens,
NFC.
If we have another injury.
We have a body.
This
it's not like we're
upgrade.
throwing in what's his face,
Taylor Hart.
Taylor Hart, yeah.
and
give me BD over to Taylor Hart.
No, and
sorry.
honestly, I mean, I read I read a write up on I think it was NFL Football Rumors where they kind of broke down the top 10 1-year signings this year, and the Eagles had 3. Obviously, LeGarrette Blount, Alshon Jeffrey, and
Patrick Robinson.
Patrick Robinson was the other one, right?
Has to be.
I mean, you're looking at what he's done as far as, every year this guy reworks the cap. We trade draft picks away. He finds ways to get them back or utilize them as far as getting, other established talent to come over here and play. With these depth signs at this point, and Charles will tell you, and anybody who is in our Birds of a Feather group, which, by the way, guys, you can definitely get on Facebook, and shout out to those guys who have been part of it for the last 2 years. I was the ultimate Howie detractor.
You were.
I wanted this guy gone. The fact that his name was even floated to come back after Chip made me sick to my stomach. But I'm happy to eat crow, and I think that every move he's made, for the most part, has had a strong benefit to the team, whether it's in the locker room. You could say what they want about Torrey Smith. He's definitely been underwhelming as far as on the field. But I look at guys like him and bringing in Alshon Jeffrey, I think those guys make a difference with a Nelson Aguilar or with a Mac Hollins to mentor these guys, prepare these guys to play at a high level in the NFL. Another winner with Torrey Smith. I mean, you have guys who have Super Bowl experience now leading this team. And, it makes me excited.
Yes. You can't not get excited. It's good because, with the Jeffrey signing, Torrey Smith, everything. Patrick Robinson. Guys, we were talking about the Eagles cutting him in preseason. He was horrible. Like, when we signed him, I thought, okay, good signing, better pickup than what we had with Leotis McKelvin, which was a totally another story for last year. Like, drove me nuts. They were playing Leotis McKelvin all year on the outside. But Patrick Robinson, I thought initially was a solid signing. So, a vet who had injury history, give him a 1-year deal to kind of get his career back on track. He looked horrible in the preseason.
Because he played out of position.
He played out of position.
Naturally.
You move him. That's what makes that Darby trade so good, because once you have a guy who can be on the outside, you shift everyone down to down the depth chart to their other spots. All of a sudden, Patrick Robinson gains confidence in the slot, and now in the reps where he has to play outside, he has that confidence where he can stick his man and be fine, and he's making plays. It's great. It's like Howie, and I give you so much props because I went back and forth with you on the group so many times about Howie. But hey, you got to give him a chance. We'll see what happens. And
First thing I said was, I hate this. I think it's a terrible move. But the best thing that could happen is for him to make me eat shit,
and he did,
and make me eat
and
crow.
You admitted
and I was more than happy to admit that I did on that.
Yes.
I'm glad that we got Tom back because I do want to read this here. So Matty Mills says every piece of garbage that comes from the Eagles to the Pats is great. That is true. But then he follows up with, where are we at here? Tom, what are you willing to put up that Pumphrey will be in the league in 3 years?
My house. I'm willing to.
Can I get in on that?
I'm willing to put the company up too. I mean, anything else? You want me to go down the list here? I got a car payment. I'll pay that for him too. We'll just keep going down.
Oh man, Justin DeFalco, what up, Justin? No Zeke, Dak gets beat. 0-3 without Sean Lee. The Cowboys definitely don't know what the next man up means. I totally say that. I've been saying that. How often do I say that, Charles? Next man up, and that's the difference between a pretender and a contender.
Next man up.
The Eagles, they've had devastating injuries. Jason Peters down. Darby's been down basically since. We're getting him back, but Darby's been down since week 1.
Yes.
Hicks is out. We've had injury, Sproles, injury after injury,
Maragos.
but Maragos. next man up.
Underrated loss right there, because I loved Maragos because he is a special teams captain. Like, he is an ace.
I think it's only underrated outside of this city or outside of this fan base. I think anybody on this fan base understood what Chris Maragos brought to this team.
Well, you see him when you get to see him week in and week out.
The only problem you have with Chris Maragos when he's on the field is when he's on the field and he's
That's
actually part of 11.
Oh yeah, when he's playing safety.
Side of the ball.
Yeah, that's bad.
When he's playing safety, you have issues. But as a special teamers, I don't think there's anybody in this fan base that undervalued Chris Maragos from that injury.
Yeah,
I was worried about that.
And again, it's kudos again to Howie for putting the right guys in the right place, building that depth to the level that you can have that next man up.
Yeah.
Whether they're young, whether they're a veteran, like the guys that we signed, it seems that all the right pieces have fallen into place. And Michael DeAndrea says Cowboys don't have any depth. Eagles are stacking up, and they're continuing to stack up, as proven by this week. Stacking up, locking up the guys that should be locked up, that are proving that they have a place here with Jernigan, and it's exciting. And I'm really, again, to add those guys and add that depth this week, Cowboys week, just gets me even more fired up to know, you go in, and I felt good this week, regardless, with, the injuries that they had, the Cowboys. I felt really good about and strong about the team we have this year. But, let's take the injuries out. Just the fact that they're continuing to add and add gets me really encouraged that this is the year that they believe that this is their shot.
Well, everyone in that franchise, the team, coaches, ownership, management, they all believe it. You can tell. They wouldn't be making that. They wouldn't have made that Ajayi trade if they didn't. They wouldn't have signed Will Beatty if they didn't. They wouldn't have signed Ellaby if they didn't. All these things where they're grabbing these guys and making these moves, it's to show the fan base, hey, we're going all in. Because you can't ignore. I understand that the fan base wants to be cautious because of everything that's happened to us. We haven't won, and I get it. I totally get it. But this is what I'm saying. You cannot rule out the fact that there are circumstances going on around the league that play in our favor. And don't say, and all the fans outside of Philly that say, the Eagles are only good because they only have a shot at the Super Bowl because of all the injuries.
It happens every year to every team. Every year to every team.
I'm sorry. It happens every year. Just because it's working out in our favor this one time and it could help us, don't try to use that. It's not a scapegoat, honestly. So, it's the team believes it. So, as a fan, enjoy all these games right now because it is a good time to be an Eagles fan, and don't be afraid to say Super Bowl. Guys, don't be afraid it's not going to kill you to say Super Bowl. It really isn't, because I'm not saying that they are going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's a definite. What I'm saying is it's possible, and the team believes they can get there.
No, and
it's a possibility.
And defense wins. And then Bob Hartman puts the game is won in the trenches, and I forget the exact number, but the Birds have something like $200 million in total contracts tied up in the defensive line. He's playing well, but do we agree Vinny Curry is the odd man out moving forward? I think Vinny's having a good year, by the way.
How long was his contract?
He's definitely stepped up.
I thought it was a 3-year deal.
I think it was a 3-year deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to look that up, and I'm pretty sure it was a 3-year deal. But I think Vinny's stepped up. I thought he got off to a slow start again, but I think he's definitely turned it on, and more and more you're hearing his name
what
called
does
out.
that is, 96, the pop coming after it now,
100% true.
It's, as a rookie, I know Tom said it, on our, on Wednesday nights, you put your hand in the ground and go get the quarterback. That's what you do as a rookie. You know what I mean? And that's what he's doing. He doesn't have the sacks yet. The sacks aren't starting to pile up, but the effectiveness, him in the backfield, him chasing down plays outside of his area is starting to come.
Explosiveness.
Yeah. And that comes with a guy gaining experience. That comes with a guy gaining confidence.
So it was a 4-year.
4-year.
Let's see. It goes to 2020. So in 2016, he had a base salary of $1 million. Let's see. This year, base salary of $7 million. It goes up to $9 million next year in 2018. 2019, he's got $9.2 million. And 2020 is the big one where it's 10.
Okay.
So I'm looking more at 2019, 2020, where you talk about Vinny Curry not being here. Maybe I think he's got probably another year.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Just depending on what direction they want to go. But how he's shown you, and the recipe for success in this league is in the trenches. and he showed you, hey, I'm going to put a lot of money into my defensive line like you guys just talked about, and I think this is the guy he keeps around.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to sign Jernigan to get rid of Curry. He doesn't make – Curry's his guy. Curry's one of his guys, one of his picks.
Yeah.
So
and plus they rotate. They rotate people. They don't keep the same 4 out there for most of the snaps. Well, okay, most of the snaps.
What was Kansas
but they
City's
rotate.
issue on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago against Dallas?
Fatigue.
I mean, so you thought that Kansas City's front four would be able to get to the quarterback. They couldn't.
Fatigue.
Their
Yes,
subs
they're
weren't good
fatigued.
enough to
Yeah.
get there, and the guys were just worn out by the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And that's right to your point, because that's what we do great. I call it a front 8 now.
Yeah.
I don't even go to the.
Yeah, you said that Sunday.
I don't
yeah.
even go to the back 3 yet, to the linebackers. I'm just talking about that front 4, which is a front 8.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, it's so talented. You know, you can put Bo Allen in running situations. He
does
gets
his
the
thing,
job
yeah.
done. You know, you talk about, Derek coming off the edge. You know, when you talk about 20 snaps where you can put your hand in Derek, go get it.
Yeah.
Fletcher being able to still being able to go in the fourth. Them things are so important that people that it's not Madden.
Yeah.
That it's not.
Yes.
These
Yes,
guys,
exactly.
they're freaks, but
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And again, that's what Howie does. Howie built that depth, and he's continuing to add it to keep these fresh legs. Hopefully, Ellerby. I've always liked Ellerby, so I'm really excited to see what
Is
he
it the
has in the
dreads?
tank. Maybe it is.
We've added the dread. We added the dread. We added a lot of dreads.
We did definitely add a lot of dreads.
Got a couple YouTube comments. Todd Womack, get ready for all the excuses from the Cowgirls. Skip Nutless already started.
Oh, it was
Sean
brutal
Lee.
on Sunday.
Oh, my
And then
God.
Jacob Adigwe, sorry if I killed that. Eagles versus Patriots Super Bowl rematch. Wentz versus Brady.
You would think from reading Skip's Twitter feed on Sunday that like he was
I went on.
watching a
I
slow kill of his dog or something like that. It was just I can't believe what I'm seeing. And every excuse under the book. But you know,
drives me nuts. This is the thing about Skip. He'll make a prediction, and in this case, it was Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, right? He puts a prediction out there, and he's done it so many times. When I used to watch First Take years ago, he would do this so many times. But then if it doesn't happen, he will come up with the most asinine excuses. And his excuse now is, oh, Sean Lee's not in, Cowboys are going to lose.
Right.
Well, dimwit, hello, Sean Lee is like so injury prone. That should be factored into your prediction. You can't say that claim knowing that Sean Lee has his injury history, and then
it's a
the
shame,
minute
too,
it happens again,
He's a hell of a
he's
Yeah.
a top
he is.
he's a top 3-5 linebacker in the league. He is, and his impact is definitely felt. But the thing is, you can't make a prediction like that and then use his injury as a scapegoat when it's not a freak injury. It's a common thing with Sean Lee. You can put money on him getting injured every year. It's going to happen. It has happened. So with Skip, he's going to make up any excuse, just like all of Cowboys Nation, find any excuse to get out of his stupid prediction.
Well, Matty Mill again says, does all this defensive success mean that we are losing our coordinator next year? I don't think so.
Maybe.
I do.
mean, it's a question.
I do.
I think maybe.
I do just because,
you could lose it. You might lose him to the Giants.
the
though.
reports out there early in the year, which were obviously false, was that he wants Doug's job. Obviously not. But if you're not a coordinator in this league, if you are a coordinator in this league and you don't want a head coaching job, then there's something wrong with you.
No, and I agree with that.
And the way he has his defense playing is they are lights out. There's someone that's going to want him. Josh McDaniels is the same way up in New England. There's going to be an organization that's going to want an offensive guy. And again, both these guys are second-time around head coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they both failed the first time.
Yes. That's key. Yeah.
Got humbled, kind of like the Pete Carroll,
You
I was going
learn.
to say Pete Carroll.
Bill
Prime
Belichick.
example.
Belichick.
Belichick, yep.
All these guys were
Big
failed
examples.
before. Now they come back. They re-coordinated themselves, understood now what goes into it. I unfortunately do think we lose Jim Schwartz this offseason.
I think it's possible. Now, in that case, if we do, I think what's important is you get someone who's familiar with that scheme to take over. You don't get someone with a whole new scheme. You don't get someone who doesn't know the players and whatnot. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a hire that came from within to just promote someone. I think that's the best way you go because those players right now on our defense need familiarity. So if that does happen, I think that's the route they should go. But we'll see what happens.
Sorry, hold on real quick. YouTube, Chris Moran, I guess your brother.
Cousin.
Cousin.
What up, Chris?
Great show so far, guys. C-Web jersey in the back, violation, LOL. Never. There's never a
No, I agree with
violation
that.
for a C-Web jersey. Ever.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what team it is.
That's what I said, C-Web ever.
Hall of Fame jerseys are never a violation. Bob Hartman was talking about Graham's contract situation. That's not even, if you look at it, I wanted to put it in there and I can't. So just to tell him it's not, Brandon Graham's not bad at all. You're talking about next year. No, we're in this. No, he's good right now. So he's 2017, $6.5 million.
Yeah.
Next year, $6.5 million, and a cap hit of only $7.5 million. So,
I mean, that's realistically a
Brandon
steal.
Graham?
yeah. So now, if he's I didn't. It's tough to know if he's talking about extending Brandon Graham or where he's going with that. But next year's his final year, his deal. So another guy going under the radar, playing great football too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Earl Thomas doesn't seem as bad now.
Stop it. Don't ever.
Doesn't seem as bad.
But and Bob also says, as good as Howie is with the cap, I find it hard to believe there won't be a cap casualty or two on the defensive side. So
Possibly.
that might be where you're at.
Maybe.
We'll say.
I mean, we keep bringing this up, the money. I always bring it up, like, our lack of cap space. But it's getting to the point where you're right. Howie will figure it out.
We've had a lack of cap space for the last 2 years, but somehow we managed to bring in guys like an Alshon.
Well,
Jeffrey.
we actually had an abundance this year.
Right.
You had a little bit of money, which allowed you to go out and get that. But now it's going to be finding these guys to fit it under.
Yeah.
Now because you only sound now. You obviously think that there was some sort of a backroom handshake deal with Alshon, like, hey, come in, do your part. Don't pee green. And, you're extended for 2-3 years. So, I'm sure that was worked into it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, the Jernigan deal, I think, what was that? I had
4
the
years,
numbers down.
28 mil? No. 28 mil.
Yeah, it was 4 years. Well, it was 4 years, 48 mil, 26 guaranteed.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think that's a great signing. I mean, 26 mil, 4 years guaranteed, at least guaranteed money.
It locks up our defensive
It's a
line,
win-win.
our elite defensive line for the next few years. You can't argue against it.
Yeah,
You
I
have
mean,
to.
that is
He
a
was
scary
priority number
defensive
one.
line.
He was priority number one. You
I'm
knew
sorry,
when you traded
is this
for him.
Jernigan?
Jernigan, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When you traded for him, you knew you had to, like the second, you knew you had to sign him. You had to sign him to an extension.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time. I'm glad how we got it done now in the middle of the season. Don't have to stress about it in the offseason.
And again, talking about a guy who's got 17 tackles and 1.5 sacks, and all you did was in the third round. You stayed in the third round and moved down 25 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great move by Howie.
Right. I mean, you're right. I mean, you give up a third-round pick for a guy like that. You give that up because you want to re-sign him. You don't give up that. You don't give up that pick.
Move down.
You don't give up that pick and move down with the chance of I'm losing him.
Right.
Not because of anything of him. It's the way you value that pick of keeping you under the cap.
Yeah.
It was right after they traded. Someone wrote up in that 25. That pick drop, who you missed out on. And there were some guys.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt was one of them, but we probably weren't going running back in that round.
It's possibly.
But, I mean, there were some guys, other than Kareem Hunt, there wasn't anybody that you're really missing out on.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, the signing had to happen. It was probably going to happen on the bye week, which is pretty perfect. And he is playing out of his mind right now, and you got to love a guy with a gold grill.
Guys, it helps when your highest paid player in your team, Fletcher Cox, loves him alongside of him.
Yeah.
So that works all the way up the ladder where it's like Fletcher, a little sit down with Howie and Jeffrey. Like, I love this guy. And what Greg said, spot on. You're not going to trade a third-round pick in that spot to not re-sign a guy.
Exactly.
And he listen, guys on a contract year, he lived up to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And
by the way,
gold grill.
Tom Gideon, Tommy G. What up,
Big
Tom?
Tom. What's up, buddy?
I was literally thinking this exact thing when you guys were talking about the Weber jersey, though. Who says it's Weber? Keith Van Horn. I totally was thinking the same thing.
The great white
Burn,
height.
baby, burn.
Justin DeFalco, great signing. Definitely.
And I think another thing that people don't realize is, well, maybe you realize, but I mean, like the good thing about Jernigan, because people were upset about losing Benny Logan. Rightfully so. Benny Logan is a great run stuffer, run playing defensive tackle.
Jernigan was plan B.
Yeah,
Benny Logan was plan A. And
thing is,
plan B worked out a lot better than I think plan A would have.
Because you know what it is? It's the scheme. The scheme fits better for Jernigan because of his style of play. He's attacking. Whereas Benny Logan is more of a run stuffer. He plugs the gap. And so he's more of a run guy who's going to just stay there, occupy space.
Kansas City.
But Jernigan gets upfield. And the way that they're scheming this defensive line, you will be surprised how well they scheme it so that Cox is left one-on-one with a lineman. Guys, how many O-linemen in the league are going to hold up Fletcher Cox one-on-one?
Not many.
Not many.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. So the having Jernigan there does that for Cox, and it shows the impact it's having on the defensive line. It's great.
Kamara was the other guy outside of Hunt.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, two guys. I mean, two guys that you
chances of us
definitely missed
taking
that.
them
Yeah.
were,
But
were,
were they
were
really
slim
going to
at that
go
point.
running back? We don't know.
Right.
And it's easy to see. It's easy to see now because we
Because they're having
because we
great
have,
years.
and but also it's also to be okay, like, because I was the, like, when the draft happened and we didn't get a running back, I was like, oh fuck. But the thing is, we have Ajayi now,
yeah.
so having him, getting rid of that only a 4th round pick for Ajayi, it kind of appeases the fact that we lost out on Hunt and Kamara.
And that's another one. I mean, obviously that's a move for long term, not just a short term move. And I love the fact that you have him to go with Carson, same age, build that tandem in the backfield there. And I'm hoping that Clement also can be that guy behind him going forward over the next 2, 3, 4 years. So
Yeah,
I mean, a lot
He's
of really
earning
exciting things.
he's earning
Yeah.
it.
What do you got
A couple
on?
more YouTube here.
Yeah, what do you got on YouTube?
Fillmore Hip Hop, shut down Beasley, and look out for Butler. Do that, and we are 9-1. Dink and Dak versus Wentz. Chev93 checks back in. Skip, favorite line is Carson is a deer in headlights, LMAO. I wonder if he watches our games. The deer is Dak.
Yeah.
Todd Womack, I think we lose Filippo before Schwartz, but Schwartz is gone. I'll go with Jeff Fisher. Jeff
Good
Fisher,
point.
his guy to potentially replace him if he goes.
It's an interesting name.
Ryan Brodo checks in. Sean Lee is a very good, but he's still just one player. The Cowboys and their fans can't point to his injury as the main reason why they lost. They've had numerous chances to try and adapt to his injury. And then Fillmore Hip Hop. Dez is not a threat. Butler is the one we have to watch on the outside.
No, and that's the thing, too. You're talking about Sean Lee's history. That's on their general manager at that point because, we see what we have here. Howie,
Next man up.
guys down, next man up, fill that role behind that man. For them, they know that this guy is a liability as far as the injury bug. So it's on them to have the proper personnel in place. In the event that something happens with this guy, and you got to step in.
Yes.
And you look at the Cowboys. There's not a lot of depth on that team at all. And I mean, you saw what happened with Dak with just one. Well, I mean, Sean Lee, a couple injuries, but you talk about Sean Lee. But even just on the offensive side of the ball, you lose Zeke, and it was like a chicken with his head cut off, running around in the backfield trying to figure out. I thought he looked totally lost. He needed that running game in order to succeed with the passing game to the level that they wanted to. Cole Beasley, I feel like he's barely even been utilized.
He's
this
had
season.
bad year.
The guy
Bad year.
I think is really coming on is Terrence Williams.
Terrence Williams is looking
he had
good
that
this year.
that 9-catch, 150-yard game 2 weeks ago. He's just getting a lot of targets. And you're right. Jay Lash brings up a great name on the defensive side. Jay Lash 90. How has Jalen Smith been playing this year?
He's actually been playing.
I
pretty
think
well.
so too. I mean,
He's
if
been
you
playing
remember
well.
back to
Him
that devastating injury there in the
Yeah.
Fiesta Bowl.
And kudos to him.
I hate
That's-
Notre Dame, but I was rooting for the guy to make a full comeback.
And
Yeah.
yes, he's
And
been
he
playing
has,
well.
and he has been playing well.
Irving is him. Irving, and then why can't I forget the other pass rusher. They have a pass rush. Okay, their pass rush is pretty good. The thing is, after that, the rest of the defense sucks. And that's the thing. If that pass rush can't get home, if they can't attack, they're gonna get eaten alive. That defense, like in the secondary, it's all young guys who are rookies or sophomore players, or just they're not competent enough. They have potential, but right now they're just not holding up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. So let's look into this week. What are the keys for you guys this week? We have the Twitter poll question out there, obviously.
Yeah, let's
And let's read that Twitter poll question again. Is obviously, what is the main key to victory this Sunday for the Eagles against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football? It's the defensive line. We have Ronald Darby returning, I believe, this week. A full week with Jay Ajayi and Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson. And whenever there's a question about a key to the game, Carson is obviously an option on there. Greg, what do you got for this week?
Before Jay Lash, I think sums up everybody. The excitement is getting insane for Sunday.
Oh.
And I think Jay Lash hits it right on the nail.
Oh, God.
The excitement started on Sunday when the clock hit 0 and there was a
And they
27-7
lost.
Cowboys loss to Atlanta. That's when the excitement started.
The if I'm going to answer that poll question, I'm going to obviously go with the defensive line.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the newly paid man, Timmy Jernigan, and his Bay right next to him, or his Boo. I don't know who's Boo, who's Bay. But I'm going to go with those two guys in the middle. I think Dallas is going to fix that offensive line. Not fully fix it because Tyron Smith is tough to replace. Yeah. But you give them a week, and they were embarrassed last week. I think they're going to come back and play a little bit better. But it's still going.
Is he not playing again?
We don't know yet.
It's still unknown.
Yeah, he's still questionable.
Sean Lee is out. They haven't said anything.
Yeah,
about
he's playing. Smith's playing.
I would think so.
I felt like they sat him out last week to make sure he played this week.
And it could be.
That was my gut feeling.
Could be.
Yeah. So, I think they're going to be improved. Again, they got embarrassed last week. I think they're going to be improved. But what stuffs that is that front four or that front eight. Those guys getting after Dak and making him a one-dimensional guy that he has to run the ball, not even hand it off, that he's got to go.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the key for me.
Okay. What do you got, Charles?
All right. Just more than you, I might go on a rant. All right, because this is...
You want me to get mine in then
so
you can go on your rant?
All right, so logically, you are correct. It is the defensive line.
I know I'm right.
Yeah. All right, so it is the defensive line. But this is
a man of modesty over here.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say what I want the key to be, and I want the player that I want to have the career game this Sunday is Carson Wentz. And this is why.
Well, the best thing about this is your show.
All right.
This is your show. You can have it be your guy.
So here, hold on. So this whole debate about Carson or Dak that's going on since last year with Eagles fans and Cowboys fans, back and forth. It drives me absolutely nuts. The fact that Dak had his success last year, deservedly so. He is a really good quarterback. Regardless of what anyone wants to say, any Eagles fans, he is a really good quarterback. You have to give it to him. However, Wentz is that guy this year, and he's showing it. We've been saying that if you give Wentz the type of weapons and protection that Dak had last year, there's even similar. Like, Wentz didn't even have, a stable, he doesn't even, up until Ajayi, he doesn't have an elite running back behind him, but he had a running game. But the thing is, since day one, Carson Wentz hasn't he been the focus of the offense goes through Carson Wentz.
Well, I just want to say, I think that Dak is a great athlete playing quarterback, as opposed to Carson is proving this year he's a true quarterback.
I think Dak. This is where I've flipped. I said earlier this year that Dak. I think Dak is a smart quarterback, but I think there's a lot to learn. I mean, you're seeing Carson at the line changing plays. Yes.
To me, that's what takes him to
exactly
building to an elite status at this point. You don't see that very much in the league in general. I mean, what do you see? Tom Brady do it? Drew Brees maybe does that. I mean, you don't see guys do it. And really at the rapidness that he's doing it at, you haven't seen that really since Peyton. Peyton was standing on the line. Every play was changing every play.
Here's the thing. All right. I was one of my fantasy football podcasts I listened to. They're smart guys, but the thing is, they were having a conversation and saying, "Oh, I think it's not even close. Dak Prescott is definitely an elite talent. He's that guy.
He's an elite talent.
Wentz is okay. Wentz is pretty good. The one guy didn't even rate him in his top 10. All right, that's what drives me crazy about fantasy football and real life football. Dak has had a good fantasy football year when you look at the numbers. But if you watch the games, that's not the case. It's definitely not the case. And if you watch the Eagles games, you can see far and away why Wentz is a better quarterback if you know what you're talking about, if you know what you're looking at. Pre-snap reads, like you said. Okay? Managing the offense. Knowing where to go with the ball. Improving everything from his long ball. That was an issue as early as this year, game 1, 2, and 3 of this year. His long ball was bad. And then against the Cardinals, from then on, it was good. Really great. Leading the team, getting out of the pocket, making numerous plays with his legs, miraculous plays with his legs that you can't see. The one touchdown pass to Clement against the Redskins, crazy. When do you see that?
Was that the Denver game or was it the previous game where he looked like he was down in the middle of the offense, the defensive line, and then he just all of a sudden was like,
It
He
was
just
Matt
popped out.
Matt Collins touchdown.
Yeah,
All right.
that was
I want to
insane.
read off. I got a bunch of this off Twitter. I want to read off a bunch of next level stats. All right. Quarterbacks when pressured. Carson Wentz is rated number 2 in the league behind Tom Brady. Carson Wentz has a passer rating of 85.5. Dak Prescott is not in the top 10. Quarterbacks in the red zone. Carson
stinks.
Wentz,
Huh?
second.
Because he stinks.
Yeah. Carson Wentz in the red zone. Second behind Eli Manning. Crazy. But yes, behind Eli Manning with a passer rating of 117.6. Dak Prescott, not listed. Quarterbacks on third down. Carson Wentz, number 1 in the league. Passer rating of 125.1. Dak Prescott, not listed. Quarterbacks on first down.
Because he stinks.
Carson Wentz, passer rating of 107.7. That's good for, I think, 7th. Dak Prescott, not listed. Quarterbacks in shotgun. Carson Wentz, 3rd in the league, 105.2 passer rating. Dak Prescott, he's kind of right behind him, 6th in the league, but behind Carson Wentz still. Quarterbacks versus the blitz. Dak Prescott is listed 103.5. So that's the one stat where Dak is listed ranked higher than Wentz. Wentz has a passer rating of 97.7. Quarterbacks outside the pocket. Carson Wentz, passer rating of 118.8, 2nd in the league. Dak Prescott, third behind Wentz, 106.5. And finally, quarterbacks inside the pocket. Carson Wentz, 101.4 passer rating. Dak Prescott, 96.4, which is 10th. Carson Wentz was 6th. Watch with your eyes, Cowboys fans. And I'm going to look at if any Cowboys fans want to watch this show, I'm going to look straight at the camera. Please watch with your eyes and look at the stats. Look at the numbers that I just read off. You do not have an argument for Dak Prescott right now. And this Sunday was the first test, okay? No left tackle, all right? No elite running back. This is that was prove-it time number 1 for Dak Prescott. Now, Chaz Green was just he looked horrible. Shades of Winston Justice with us against the Giants from years ago. Okay, so that was absolutely horrible. Okay, so I get the argument that he didn't have time to do anything. But in the first half, I watched the game. He had time to make plays. He had enough time to get the Cowboys to a lead, didn't they? So don't give me the fact that Dak Prescott just couldn't do anything. He had a chance to do something. He could have had 3 turnovers, guys, in the first half. 2 interceptions. One was on the first interception in the first quarter was called back because of an offsides on the defense, but Dak didn't see it. He threw the pass, didn't know it was a free play. Interception called back. All right. The second one, drop pass by the defensive back, should have been an interception, and and his actual turnover was on the fumble where he got sacked. And the whole game, you see him, he was being pressured, but his pocket awareness is not there. He doesn't know how to move and step up in the pocket. His accuracy was off. It's not.
Well, I think even Aikman called that out on
yeah,
the one
his
play.
accuracy was really off.
Said he didn't do them any favors with one of the Claiborne sacks where.
One of the 6?
One of the 6
One of the
sacks
6.
I mean,
by Claiborne.
my man got paid
Yeah,
on Sunday.
I mean,
Yes.
Aikman literally got paid. He got a bonus out of that.
that's what I'm saying.
But Aikman even said in that game, they showed the one. I don't even remember which play it was. I think it was the 3rd or 4th quarter. But he said Dak didn't do his offensive line any favors by just literally taking one small step into the pocket.
Yeah.
He stayed out there, which gave Claiborne enough of a reach to be able to wrap him up or get around the defensive end and wrap him up.
Exactly. And to end my whole diatribe here, Elliot Harrison, who does the power rankings on NFL.com, and he is a noted Cowboys fan. He said it numerous times.
Yeah,
but
he's great, by the way.
He's great.
I do love his stuff. He's a
yeah.
Cowboys fan, but he's a football fan.
He's a football fan.
Speaks football.
He has said all year that Wentz is in another league compared to Dak Prescott. And after this Sunday's loss of the Cowboys to the Falcons, he tweeted it out. Tony Romo started 62 games without Tyron Smith, 0 with Zeke. He would have received plenty of blame for 7 points on the board. Perspective, guys. If that had been Tony Romo, Cowboys fan would have been all over Tony Romo. But because it's Dak Prescott, their golden child, they're not. They're gonna defend him till no end. So please, Cowboys fans, please get some perspective. Just stop with the whole narrative. You do not have an argument for Dak, and that's why the player I want to have the best game of his career up to this point is Carson Wentz.
Yeah, no, and you know, I mean, you obviously went on a big thing. All I'm going to say about it again, I said it. I think that Carson is a great quarterback who's a good athlete, or maybe even a great athlete. To me, I do think Dak is a good quarterback, but a great athlete. I think a lot of what his success is comes from the scheme that they run, and I do think he's an accurate and enough passer with the right touch that he can put the ball where it's supposed to go. And if it's a little bit off, you have a guy like a Dez who can go up and get it, or a Terrence Williams. As opposed to Carson is creating plays. For Dak, if you know he doesn't like what he sees down the field, his initiative is to take off.
Run.
Carson, he runs a little bit, but Carson also keeps plays alive and stays behind the line of scrimmage, looks to go downfield, looks to extend plays, to give his guys a chance to come back and make something happen. And that to me is more of a sign of an elite quarterback as opposed to, you know, to me that's a top 5 quarterback. The difference between a top 5 to a top 15.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I see Dak. Dak to me will probably be a top 10 quarterback
I
when
agree.
all is said
I think
and done
that's
in
his
the league.
Top 10 quarterback.
To me, Wentz has all the capabilities to be a top 3 to top 5 quarterback in this league within the next couple of years.
Could be the best quarterback in the league for years.
I mean, there's still development to come. And, I mean, you still have names like Brady. You still have names like Breeze who are out there and they're still producing at a high level. But, you know, when that next generation comes to the forefront totally and those names are gone, I think it's going to be a guy like a Carson Wentz that we're going to be looking at talking like we did. You know, I'm not saying he's going to put the numbers career-wise up that Peyton Manning did, but when you're talking about intelligence, a guy who is an elite quarterback in this league that leads an offense, that's going to be the guy I think we're going to be talking about, as opposed to a Dak who I think we're going to look at, you know, in that 8 to 10, 8 to 12 range of, you know, not quite. I mean, the team could be great, and they could have a lot of success behind a guy like that.
You can win with Dak.
I think
he's not going to be someone who can carry.
Cowboys
the team
fans are going to probably hate me for saying this, but I think if they are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 10 years, it's going to be behind this guy, or with this guy behind the ball.
Hopefully not.
But you know, that said, you know, I hear what you're saying. For me, I want to see. I think J.J. is going to be a huge key this week. Obviously, we have the depth signing on the left side, but I do want to see how his blocking is. Now we're going to have a full week with a full playbook of this guy. You know, I was ecstatic with what we saw with 10 to 12 plays that he learned. I'm going to be interested to see how many more carries he gets, how many carries he takes away from LeGarrette Blount, if he does. But I'm going to be really interested to see.
By the way, Dak stinks.
I know.
Just throwing it out there. Dak stinks.
But I know, and I already know Tom's feelings on that one already. But I'm going to be interested to see what we have with Jay this week and a full week and seeing how he's fully utilized with other plays. You know,
that was. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
No, I said that was going to be my 1B is Jay. I want to see. You know, you bring a guy in, you spend that pick. Is he your number one coming right out of the jump?
I think
you know
LeGarrette
I mean?
Blount stays the number one, though.
But Blount is so
limited?
one-dimensional and limited, and you bring him in for certain situations. I think you bring a Jai in to this situation at this time of the year to be your guy.
Yeah, well, you know what, though?
You know, and you give up that pick, and again, you trade picks for young guys every day of the week. You do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes twice on Sundays.
Who are proven.
Yes. Well, but you don't do that and then say, oh, yeah, LeGarrette Blount, keep going.
Exactly.
Keep getting me 3 yards a clip.
No,
I want this guy to get me 8 yards a clip.
No.
4 yards.
And
fourth quarter. I mean,
Yeah.
LeGarrette Blount to wear you down.
Yes.
Like, now I got you worn down.
He's going to pound the ball and run the defense down.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
No, and I agree with that. And I what I will say is I do believe that what you're going to see with LeGarrette Blount, and this is what we talked about earlier about how professional these guys that they bring in are, I think the guy will want to win. I don't think that they're going to take touches away. Now, his touches may shift at different points in the game than they have been. I think he'll still get his touches. I think he's still going to be, have his beast mode moments and all that. But I'm going to be interested to see where those moments now shift. Where does Corey Clement come in? Or what's up with Smallwood? Is Smallwood the third back?
He's the odd man out.
I mean, to me, he's the odd man out. But you never know, and I'm going to be interested to see how that all kind of takes shape this week. But I do agree with you. At some point, Jay's going to have to be the lead back. but I don't know why you can't have a 1 and 1A. And that's the way I kind of see it is, okay, Jay's your quote-unquote starter. He's your lead back primarily in the first half, those first couple downs where you're trying to, pick up yardage, and then you're in the red zone. And Jay can do that, but I want the ball in LeGarrette Blount's hands in the red zone, pounding the football into the end zone.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm not a huge LeGarrette Blount fan, though, so that's why.
Why not have both of them in the backfield at the same time?
And that would be really interesting to see if they were.
The Saints are doing it with Ingram and Kamara right now.
Yeah, and they could.
And that's scary.
That could be something that we see. I'm going to be really interested to see if that's
something
that
people don't realize with Ajayi too. Is in Miami they didn't use him this way for whatever reason, but in Boise State he was used as a wide receiver. He was split out wide numerous times. He was used as a receiver out of the backfield and out wide. If he can show that he can do that, and he has said in his press conference that he worked on those skills in the offseason, if the coaching staff sees that he can do that kind of stuff, he might be used in the kind of maybe not like full time, like do everything that Sproles did, but you know how Sproles would be that motion back to be split out wide. They could run some of those plays for Ajayi because he can do those kind of things.
Yeah, I want to get to Facebook real quick. Bob Hartman says, "How much are we even expecting Darby to play? Is he a starter opposite Mills with Rasul and Patrick doing a matchup thing in the slot, or are we riding the hot hands and working Darby in?" I think Darby probably could have came back previously, but I think he's another guy. They may have held him out specifically for this to get that extra week in.
Yeah.
That's just the feeling I have. There's been a lot of talk the previous 2 games where he was kind of on the cusp of coming back. I think just to take precautionary measures, they probably held him out to this point, and it's a smart move.
Yeah,
I mean, with the way that the defensive backs are playing, you really didn't need Darby in those games.
Yeah, wait until he got 100%.
Especially when you have Osweiler thrown on the other side. I mean, I really don't think that was much of a concern. I don't know if he's going to play first string touches, but I think you're going to see a lot of Darby this week. And a lot of that's going to dictate on how much he's going to play by the scheme that the Cowboys decide to run this week. And how many wide receivers they're running out there in specific plays. So
well, it's something my cousin brought up I think a few weeks ago when it was first broken out that Darby could be coming back soon. He said that he asked hypothetically, or no, just to play devil's advocate, does bringing Darby back and putting him in, does that mess up with the chemistry that the secondary has? And this is my argument against it. For one, it's not like Darby is a new face now where he's coming in and, he's very brand new to the scheme. They traded for him, before week 3 of the preseason, and he was in there for several weeks. The game plan, the scheme was for him to be in there. That was part of it.
He knew Jim Schwartz's system from Buffalo, so that was why they went and got him.
Exactly. So, and plus, with Darby, he was the one guy who has this speed on the outside. Mills doesn't. And Patrick Robinson doesn't. They don't have the speed that Darby has. If you need to match up a guy and you need Darby to shadow a wide receiver who has speed, he can do that. And so if you do that with Darby, that leaves so many options for this secondary to do for this defense. Now they can mix things up with plays and concepts that they weren't able to do before. I think so. I understand people want to play devil's advocate and we don't need him and everything. That's something I've been hearing and fans have been asking, but I don't think you need to worry about that chemistry because I think Darby was part of the plan all along. Getting him back is just getting back to plan A.
Yeah. So I want to actually shift because we're going to be taking a break sometime soon, but I do want to shift.
Well, let me get some of these YouTube comments.
Yes, get those in. Yep.
Jay Lash went on a little run. He apologized. Jay Lash, don't ever apologize. Ronald Darby locking down the pass is going to let the D-line go ham, even though Darby let that dude from Miami, Parker, burn him to preseason. But, hey, even a blind squirrel finds a nut some days. Ty Womack says D-line. Jay Lash comes back. Almost kind of want to keep our corners where they are, kind of, and keep Darby on Beasley as well. The whole Dak versus Wentz debate will be decided once the two retire. This weekend, we'll either see our D-line dine at the Texas buffet, or we'll be forced to watch Cowboys kill us with 1,000 paper cuts.
Okay. Thanks, Jay Lash. Good stuff.
So damn clutch. Wentz is better, no debate. And then I think we're going to save the rest of those comments for maybe after we get back from the break.
Yeah.
Just because it goes into a different direction. And probably where we want to go.
Yeah.
I like what the guys are talking about in the YouTube chat. It's good stuff, and I kind of have a very similar thought and feeling, but I don't want to get into it before the break. Guys, stay here.
Keep it coming. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll get to those comments real quick after the break.
All right, so we're heading to break from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AC.com. First segment's been brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountant, GibsonMayer.com. Guys, we'll check you on the other side.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer, LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's GibsonMayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer, LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2D Radio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Fellas, you ever come in from that baseball or football game and your woman won't come near you because you stink beyond belief? Then you need Soap Stash. You should never settle for a generic hygiene product that only covers up the stench. Treat your skin with the best nutrients. Feel clean with the only soap you'll need. The highest grade carrier oils are ingrained in all of their products, which are 100% natural and terrific for your skin. No sulfates, parabens, or phthalates, and synthetic fragrance free. Contact Soap Stash for your sample package and give your woman what she deserves. You can contact Soap Stash at 844-890-3197 or visit them on the web at soapstash.com or Facebook at Soapstash LLC. Once again, their number is 844-890-3197. Soap Stash, the new soap standard.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Hey guys, welcome back to Birds of a Feather. Again, I'm Michael Chromiak, Chrome. We got Charles Chux Moranin, Greg Malakovic joining us here on the couch. We are back. Birds of a Feather here on A2D Live. This segment is brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com.
Vinny, if you're in here, drop the link.
Drop the link. Yeah.
Vinny will hook you guys up.
All right. So, we left it off at a good place, and I know, Greg, we were really encouraged by the YouTube comments that we had.
There's a ton of YouTube comments. And,
thank you, guys.
Robert Curatolo, don't worry, we didn't forget about you.
So, and it was basically along the lines of, is this a letdown game this week against
Robert
the Cowboys for Cowboys week?
Curatolo started it. Can this be a letdown game for the Eagles? Jay Last, now this team's integrity and grit is too great to falter. Robert comes back. I don't know. Sports can be funny sometimes. And then there's a couple other people. Todd Womack, no letdown, just 100% focus. That's pretty much it in regards to that mindset. But I do think it is interesting because it's division game. It's the Cowboys. Every time you think that it makes sense, the NFL proves that it doesn't.
That's
true.
That's what makes it so great.
I kind of have a very similar sentiment. I think the Eagles do end up pulling it out just because I'd be very upset if after a bye you still had a letdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they were coming off of a game and they were coming off just a regular week's rest, I 100% buy into that. I'd probably sit here and pick the Dallas to win the game. But coming off a bye, I would like to think that one of the things that Doug picked up from Andy is how to prepare off of a bye.
Yeah.
How to come back off of a bye.
Very few are as good as Andy is.
With that being said, it is on the road. The Giants, as bad as they are, went into Denver and beat Denver on the road when they were still a fairly decent team.
Yeah.
So the NFL's crazy sometimes. I don't think it's going to be an issue, personally, for myself, but I do understand the sentiment. I do get it.
Yeah.
The guys went in on a good combination or a good conversation. I'm sorry.
Can we play something for Bob Hartman?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because he wants Bob Menery with curse words, and I said, well, that's just a sweeper. We do have a Bob Menery with curse words for me, Mike, and Greg on Wednesday, so we'll give Bob the curse. Bob needs some curses from Bob Menery. Let's just give him some curse real quick.
It's for you, Bob.
Well, hello again, everyone. This is Bob Menery, and you're listening to Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, only on A2D Radio. Tom and Mike, these guys are fucking awesome. But their side piece, Greg, that guy is a goddamn problem.
I like that one. I heard that before. That was a good one.
And so true.
Speaking of that, Jay Lash, that new Bob guy doing the commercial intro over Tom is like Wayne's World guy once they picked up by sponsors. You truly never know where these shows are going to go sometimes. That's why these commenters drive this stuff. This is awesome.
Love them.
But what do you guys think? You guys agree? Do you guys understand the sentiment? What do you think?
I get it because it is a division game. Division game, no matter how good one team is and how bad the other team is, it's a division game, especially in the NFC East.
The NFC East, it's always competitive.
It's always close. So I get it. I'm not saying that I think we're gonna go in there and blow them out like we have the Niners or the Broncos. I don't think that's gonna happen. I just think that with all the injuries that the Cowboys are facing, I think that the players know. The Eagles players know how important this is. If it was anyone outside the NFC East, that's when I can be like, okay. But you guys saw Lane Johnson's comments with his.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
That soundbite was amazing.
That was great. So all of the players on the Eagles know how big this game is. You know that they were circling this game the minute the Broncos game finished. They were like, all right, Cowboys. It's Cowboys.
Well, I think too. Some of us might take it for granted a little bit, but I don't think this team does, and especially with all the additions they've had this week, they've had to prepare, as if this is this is a team or a one-game separation in the division.
Yeah.
You have to get guys like Ellerby now with Beatty, with you have Ertz coming back this week. You got Darby now who's going to be coming back. They have to prepare for this game as if this is everything's on the line.
Yeah.
It's not where they haven't had the injury issues and they're not having the guys return, where they can kind of rest on their laurels.
And here's another thing. They know, like I said earlier in the show, the Eagles, then the team, the whole franchise, they want the Super Bowl this year, right? Well, the best way to get to the Super Bowl is get that number one seed. To get the number one seed,
there is a lot on the
you're
line.
You're
going
to need every single win you can get.
Well, especially with the way the Saints are playing right now.
Exactly.
And we'll get into
there
it.
There are a lot of teams, not even just the Saints. There are a lot of teams with a 7-2 record.
Yeah, but the Saints are on fire right now.
Don't tell it to Tom.
And yeah,
don't tell it to Tom.
Yeah, we'll get in on that. But
Listen, they beat the Bills. I mean, they shoved.
But it was in Buffalo. You said in your show on Sunday, if they beat Buffalo, you're gonna start to give them credit. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
And I swallowed a little crow.
And they
I swallowed like a wing.
They didn't just beat Buffalo. Like, they beat the shit out of Buffalo.
They did. They shoved them around.
It was destroyed.
And I'm like, well, that's all I asked for. Now, how can I say they're not good now? I said they go in Buffalo, handle business, and I'll put them on as one of them teams. I still like the Rams a little bit more because
I do too.
I just feel like defensively they're a little bit better, even though New Orleans since week 2 has ranked out as the best defense in football somehow, and that's a lot to do with Lattimore and stuff like that. But
no, the Rams defense is really, really good. They're
Lattimore,
talented.
another good name from that draft.
Another good one. I'm gonna get you guys a little Instagram going. So go ahead.
But we got Bob Hartman said letdown game coming out of a bye week against a division rival that won the East last year. Not buying it.
Yes.
I agree. Out of a bye, it is tough. Again, I think, if we played last week, I would give more into it. The only thing it still just takes me back a step is it is on the road.
Yeah.
It is on the road.
But we've had success in Dallas.
We have.
We've had I think we have, I forget what it is, but we have a really significant winning record in Dallas and that stadium, because that stadium, as beautiful and gorgeous as it is, it's not a home field advantage stadium. You see a lot of other fans of the other teams at those games. You hear them in the crowds because it's so big, and it's such an attraction. Road teams are going to travel for that game,
right?
So it's not really much of a home field advantage for Cowboys.
And I think too, and something that we talked about a lot when we were doing the YouTube show for Birds of a Feather was it always seems every season, and I think this is a huge reason why the Cowboys have not been able to get over the hump since the mid-'90s, is every season without fail there is some kind of a subplot. This year it's been the Zeke suspension hanging over their heads. It was Jerry Jones with the players taking a knee, that kind of back and forth. Now is the league trying to force Jerry out?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
I mean,
Can you imagine?
Cease and desist.
I would love to see it, just to see the court battles that go back and forth in that, and just to read
You think
the write-ups on those.
You think Jerry threw buttloads of money at Zeke's lawyers? Can you imagine what he's going to throw out at his own?
Oh, I mean, but it's crazy to think about that. Without fail, there's always some kind of a subplot for the Cowboys. Last year it was Gregory. I mean, every time you turn around, it's never an easy season. In that retrospect, it's never a drama-free season, and it's a diva organization.
You know who's to blame? Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, absolutely.
And the thing is, I guarantee you, he wants it this way, because he gets his name and the Cowboys' name in the news.
Oh, he's not a bazillionaire because he's a dumb guy.
Exactly.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, he wants the drama. Why
no
else
doubt.
would he have signed Greg Hardy 2 years ago? Like, come on. Like, you want
Greg Hardy. I don't know where I said Gregory. That's what I meant.
Yeah, Greg Hardy.
No,
like,
they drafted Randall Gregory.
And
he
Randall
was suspended
Gregory.
for the year, right?
Yeah.
All right, I was right on Gregory then.
He doesn't mind guys who hit women. It seems like.
Yeah.
But it's always been Jerry's MO.
But kneeling is where you cross the line with him, of course.
Yeah, and that's the only thing he's done right all year. In terms of getting that right, he got that right on that Sunday night game in Arizona. I thought the Cowboys really got that right.
I agree.
I gotta give credit to where credit's due.
Yeah.
But no,
Eagles, I think, got it more right than them. But
of course, semantics. Yeah,
Semantics.
But you're right, Charles. There's no question. I look at going all the way back. I mean, go back to the old time Cowboys. Go back to Nate Newton with pounds of weed in his trunk. You know what I mean? Pounds of cocaine. The way them guys, the White House on the cul-de-sac. With tons of hookers and cocaine that used to go through there. He's always just, turned his shoulder to it from day one, and nothing's changed. I'll give Jerry Jones credit for one thing. Smartest owner in NFL history. You know why? Because back in the 90s, he was able to bid Pepsi and Coke against each other and sell both of the products in his stadium.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's ever done right.
He's a good businessman. He is a very, very good businessman, and that is the only good thing you will ever hear me say about Jerry Jones.
No, and I mean, but like I said, I mean that there's always a subplot with them. I think there's always a distraction and a dark cloud hovering over that team, and I think there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, Tony Romo, it was probably the least problematic quarterback they could have possibly had through all of that, as far as being a diva type of a guy. I mean, I know his face was out there and he was a little bit of a celebrity, but I mean, say what you want about the guy, but he really wasn't any kind of a troublemaker or anything like that. Wasn't a drama star, and then maybe he was a little bit of a leader in the locker room. But it just constantly just flows through that organization.
Mm-hmm. He couldn't nail down Carrie Underwood, though. He let that slip.
Biggest loss of his career.
That's a fail.
Biggest loss of his career.
Yeah. Screw butt fumbles and any other kind of guys running into the wrong end zone and everything else. That's the biggest fail in the history of football.
Yeah. You don't let Carrie out.
She married a hockey player.
Jay Lash from YouTube. I want to see Wentz. This is getting back to your point. I want to see Wentz totally quiet that stadium. I want to hear the Eagles fans take over.
Yes. Amen.
This is a show me game for Carson. And again.
So damn clutch. Think Smallwood's the odd man out. Getting back to that.
Definitely.
Got some good ones on Facebook.
Bob Hartman. I was going to wait on this because I want to get this into the next topic. But you guys see the fact that the Rams possibly being the first team ever to have the worst offense in football one year to the best offense in football the following year. It's interesting. It's funny how these things happen. Like we said, NFL, year to year, it's a different animal. So these things can happen. And Henry Santiago coming off a bye week, I feel good about the Eagles going to Dallas and winning by 10. Big game, big win. Eagles got to win. Lock the division. Fly, Eagles, fly. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Mike T on YouTube. Here we go. Cowboys are going to upset the Eagles, and it will happen.
Mike T, come back next week.
I can only imagine that Mike T is a Cowboys fan.
Thank you, Aaron.
Come back, Mike T. Come back next week.
Thank you, Aaron Robbins. Great show, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Before you segue into the NFC thing.
Yeah, well, KXNG, imagine Doug converting Blunt to fullback and opening the playbook.
It's almost like the fullback's like a lost art in the NFL
It is, but if you use the fullback right, it could be a weapon.
There's
and I know Tom loves this, but Jay Lash, I'll say this. In Madden, I have been starting off with the run with the Jai and then mixing up play action. And then in the latter part of the game, pound the rock with Blunt. It has been doing wonders.
Jesus. What's Jay Lash trying to take Doug's job now? Like reporter like Schwartz was back early on.
Hire him. Tay Burnett on Facebook said asked what's the timetable on Sidney Jones. I think you guys talked about it on your Sunday show.
Yeah.
And we'll just talk about it real quick. We'll leave it as is. Sidney Jones, you don't need him this year.
No, that's
don't
it.
need him this
just
year.
leave it at that.
With the way it is now.
Let's be real. I'll always take Sidney Jones.
Right.
I need Sidney Jones in my lineup. I'm just not doing it this year.
No, you don't need him this year. Absolutely.
If our secondary was struggling, that's a different story. But our secondary is fine. Don't need him.
No, I mean the depth that we have. There's no need to rush this kid. I agree with you. Where you drafted him and the investment that's in this kid and the potential that's there, I want to make sure. I want him to be 110% healthy by the time we're putting him in the lineup.
Yeah. 2 year injury.
Yeah,
I mean that's how I look at the Achilles, which is the new ACL.
Right.
It's a 2 year injury, so this is a red shirt. He gets fully healthy, learns the playbook inside and out, and next year he's back to who he is. And you know how critical we are on guys here. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's how we roll. Right? But if he comes out there and he's a shell of himself,
they're going to be all over.
Oh, now he stinks.
Yeah.
Now he stinks.
Well,
waste of a second-round pick. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport it is. Look at, you guys touched on it. Ryan Howard, Achilles injury. Never the same player.
He tried to rush back.
I'm a Cardinals fan. Adam Wainwright tore his Achilles and came back the same season. He's never been the same pitcher since. I mean, when you play a sport, doesn't matter what sport it is, where you have to use your leg power, drive off your legs, that's as major as it gets. Yeah. I mean, there's no need to rush this kid back.
Exactly.
Keep him where he's at. Let's look at him for next year and next year's.
And
plans.
what I do love is all the reports now coming out because now it's the bye week. Now everyone's a little bit more open with what's going on. The reports of him being in the front row of every meeting. And
love it.
Him and Darby.
They're in the front row. They're being called on by the coaches as if they're actually playing, and they're involved. I mean, that just does wonders for a room because you have to, the NFL is so big on.
Well, you know what does
not
that?
For long. Not for long.
Yeah, you know what does that though?
Winning solves a lot of it. But knowing that although he's injured, he's not playing as well as me card, and he's still involved and he's still invested. I can't wait for next year.
And to piggyback off of that.
Because I won't be upset that we didn't go up and get Lattimore. We're just tearing it up.
Yeah. To piggyback off that, you know who else is the players that are still involved, even though they're out? The injured players. Jason Peters, Darren Sproles. They're giving. Chris Maragos, I heard, is there all the time.
It's leadership, man.
Leadership. I said
what we talked about. Yeah. Having winners on your team. Guys like I said, with Torrey Smith. I do care what he's doing on the field. But He's bringing an intangible to
Exactly.
the team, and it's showing. And I think all these guys who are veterans are seeing everybody kind of come together to bring this team along.
Yes, and that's why it's important for that next man up. Big V. The minute Jason Peters went down, what did he do? He made sure he spoke to Big V and said, "Hey, do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine." Right? And then Darren Sproles, he's been in communication with Kenyon Barner for coaching him through punt return still and advising him. You have Chris Marigrove still in the locker room all the time. Like, these are leaders that are still making an impact even though they're not on the field, and that's huge.
And Tom, let me say, to your point from your Sunday show, AM and the PM.
Great show.
No, that's a agree to disagree.
Or agree to disagree. I don't know. I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
But agree to disagree. Let me tell you right now, all these goofballs who are calling for Matt Collins to take Torrey Smith's position. It's ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. I like Matt Collins, and I like his potential going forward, and I actually do think his skill set is a Jordan Matthews 2.0, but with better hands and more speed. I think he will be a much better wide receiver. He's not ready yet. He's not ready to step into that role. But the reason he's having the success that he's having is because they're putting him in the right spots to succeed.
Yeah, it's not put too much on it, kid. I mean,
Exactly.
The guy was drafted more of a special teams ace type guy than he was consider his ability, his route running, and all that. And to be able to say, hey, again, a red shirtish type thing, even though he's getting some snaps, it's like, dude, you don't have to do too much. You got all these weapons around Carson, and guess what? 11's going to make everybody better.
Yep.
So I mean, I just
does Dak do that? No.
He's not like, can he replace Torrey Smith next year? Sure, fine, but don't think he's going to be special. Torrey still is a vet in this league, a good route runner, just hasn't got it done. But remember, there's only so many balls that can go around, too. So
No,
he's
and
a deep threat. He's a decoy, right?
And I do think, in fairness to Torrey Smith, it's gotten better as the season's gone on. But I think Carson's accuracy on the deep ball was not there the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And maybe there was – I could think of 1 or 2 that maybe Torrey should have pulled in. And I could probably think of 4, 5, or 6 passes that were overthrown, underthrown.
Yes.
Far to the left, far to the right. I mean, I think his numbers would have been a little bit better, too, if Carson had that touch deep.
He's not dropping the ball as much as he has been in the beginning of the year. Like, what was it, the
It's
Chiefs
killing
game?
me that Nelson's
Chiefs
not
game?
dropping any balls.
No.
Our whole running thing is I don't care if he has 15 catches for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. If he drops 1 ball, every show I'm going to remind you that ball that Nelson drops.
God, but yeah, like Torrey Smith hasn't had issues with drops. I think Torrey Smith his role is a deep threat, so he's going to. You don't have to.
No, and he's still attracting
5 catches.
No, and he's still attracting attention
from
the defensive backs.
Exactly.
He's stretching the field.
Exactly, he's stretching the field. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So.
He's opening it up for guys like Nelson to go
you
across
don't need,
in the slot.
Just because you don't see him getting 3 to 5 catches a game, he's only getting 1 or 2. Doesn't mean he's not doing a good job.
Right.
He's doing fine.
No, yeah, and I mean I totally agree with that. Now, what I would like to go into
real quick before we switch over.
Yeah,
Robert Curatillo on YouTube. Shout out to the 76ers. Nice seeing him healthy with all the young talent.
Yes.
Future looks promising. Big win last night. Another game tomorrow. But
Big win after a tough loss.
Jay Lash brings up a good point. He said, let's say the Eagles, before we go in the NFC, let's say the Eagles go for the season. Which Eagles free agent do you think they will take less money to stay, or they want more money and walk? Which obviously players do you see them putting
LeGarrette Blount
before them? And do you think depending on the direction, will more players start to come to Philly, much like Alshon did on the 1-year type deals type of thing?
Well, I think that Alshon will get paid. I think that Alshon
because we want to go into the NFC. Give one guy off the top of your head
for both scenarios.
Yeah, or just one or the other.
Okay.
So what's a guy you think is going to walk and put himself over the team?
I don't want to say it because I like him and I think he's a priority over Alshon for me personally. But I could see Nigel Bradham walking. I could. I could
too, and that's a tough loss.
Someone please convince me otherwise. But it's just
I can't convince you because that's a guy I could see walking.
He's really starting to blossom under the scheme and he's making a name for himself. I think he could, especially if we go deep in the playoffs and he really does really, really well, teams are going to want to pay him. Yeah. I can see him walking.
We have McLeod for another year, right?
Yeah.
So he's locked up to next year.
Yeah, he's locked up.
I mean, Bradham would probably be the guy that would fall into that. I really can't think of it. I don't know if he
Trey Burton is another one whose contract this is his I think I have to go.
Yeah,
Trey
but
Burton.
I think
he's walking.
Trey Burton's like a monster loss.
No, but the thing is with Trey Burton, teams see his see his skill set, and they do see him as a movable tight end. There are plenty of teams that need a receiving tight end with that kind of skill set. I see him walking as well.
No, but I mean, if I'm looking at guys who would take less money, I could see Blunt, but I'm taking him out. I don't know that he's going to take less money than he has now, but I think he would take a little less money than what market will dictate with Alshon.
Oh, Alshon.
I think if you consider that less money, then Alshon would be the guy that I would have on there. Yeah. Bob
less
Hartman,
money. Is it possible for him to take less money? He's not making.
He's not making anything.
Bob Hartman, Chris Long taking less money. Yeah, I mean he donated his entire salary. So, I mean if he's going to start paying us to play for us, then hell yeah, that would be amazing. But no, I mean that's a great point too.
Jay Lash chimes in with Patrick Robinson. I think is another.
I think he'll be gone because with how crowded it is.
That's the thing. It's going to be crowded back there. Rasul has gotten a lot of time and he's looked decent and he's improved.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So he's improved.
And he's a ball.
So he kind of allows Robinson to be expendable. In the same sense, I think Blunt. I just think Blunt's the odd man out next year.
Yes, yeah, he is.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's especially.
I don't think he necessarily comes back because
I don't think so either.
Well, that's especially if you're going to look to bring in. If there's a chance that Sproles is going to come back and play another year, that would definitely push LeGarrette Blount out. The reason I didn't say Patrick Robinson is because he's an odd man out. The way the question was asked was who's going to put themselves over the team.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as that
I just think he meant who's not coming back.
Who's not coming back?
Yeah, who's going to take?
In that term, Robinson is definitely a guy I would put there.
I
think Bradham, regardless, would
that's a tough
would
loss.
take the paycheck elsewhere.
Because you got to think you're losing Hicks too.
Say that because I've become such a fan of Bradham.
Oh, you know how much I love Bradham.
Because now you got to replace 2, if not 3, because Kendricks is up on his contract, right?
Either next year or the year after.
Okay,
yeah, he's locked in.
And you almost have to move on from Hicks.
Believe me, I thought
you have to get insurance for him.
So you have to at least get insurance.
You have to get insurance. You have to get. Don't be the Cowboys and don't get and not get insurance behind him.
Barnett's playing well, but my guy was there, Reuben Foster. All right, where you want to head?
No, before we get into a couple other things off of football, I did want to go into the NFC picture now. One of the things we were talking about, and real quick, actually, let me plug the Twitter question again. What's the main key to victory this Sunday night against the Cowboys for the Eagles? Defensive line, Ronald Darby return, Jay Ajayi, Carson Wentz. Keep throwing us the comments on that, your opinions on that stuff, guys, and we'll continue to throw those out. But I did want to get into the NFC picture going forward now. You know, it's almost on a week-to-week basis that this picture is kind of changing because you're having guys like, Aaron Rodgers goes down. From our conversations that we've had, I was really high on the Seahawks being the Eagles' number one threat, not just for, for the number one seed, but really it's just a playoff team to face in general because I'm scared of that defense. But then you have Richard Sherman's now out, tears his Achilles. It's an evolving door with guys getting hurt, different scenarios coming up. So my question is, who's your number one threat in the NFC? We'll go with both. Well, really, it'll go together. Let's just go with the number one seed. Who is the biggest threat for the Eagles to take that number one seed out of their hands? I mean, they're in the driver's seat right now. Yeah. But you have teams like the Saints out there. You have Seattle still out there.
No, Seattle's out. Seattle's out for at least the number one seed. I agree that Seattle was an issue for this year just because you had that 2-week road trip, right? You had L.A. and you had Seattle.
Yeah.
The Rams, obviously.
And it was one of those things to where that road trip was going to define the season after the bye, right? We reached this point. Now the schedule gets a little tougher. But now, maybe it doesn't. You're right. Loss of Richard Sherman, loss of Aaron Rodgers, Mitch Trubisky. What is he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that really someone that we got to worry about? I think the biggest threat to the number one is St. Louis. Their defense is stout.
St. Louis by way of Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, St. Louis.
All good.
Los Angeles.
Same thing.
I still call the Chargers San Diego.
Hey, I'm with you on that. They might go back to San Diego in a couple of years. So.
They have no fans in LA.
But that offense, Todd Gurley is an absolute machine right now.
Yeah, he is. It's
scary. And I love the swagger of their head coach. I love the swagger that when the defense is on the McVay, when the defense is on the field, he's back. He doesn't even pay attention to the game, and he's just worried about his offense. He's just sitting down working plays. I think what they do offensively is very diverse, and they have very many ways to beat you. All the receivers can run, and it was like that last screenplay this week that Robert Woods, where he came into the backfield. And then, no, not that one.
Oh, the 3rd and 33?
No. The one this week. He came into the backfield
okay.
like he was going to get the option, and then circled back out and got it and just took off. I just think they're very multi-dimensional. They can beat you in many aspects, and then their defense is the truth.
By the way, Robert Woods is someone I said in the offseason that the Eagles should look into picking up. He got overpaid. I didn't think he was worth that, but he's actually playing kind of near up to his he is the, as much as you want to say how talented Sammy Watkins is, he's the number one wide receiver.
Similarities with both teams as well.
Yeah.
I look at it, really do. The Rams did their job in the offseason surrounding Goff with talent. That's their asset. That's who they use number one pick on. You got to surround it. Same thing here in Philly. Howie did the same thing. Surrounded his asset with talent.
Mm-hmm.
Both get it done defensively. If that's an NFC Championship matchup, that's a beaut. If it is,
that's as good as you could ask for, and I agree. I mean, obviously, I was on the Seahawks before. I'm not totally sold on New Orleans yet. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop with them, and for them to. I think they're playing above their heads at this point. I mean, Drew, and a lot of it's attributed to Drew Brees.
Yeah.
That running attack though is
nasty.
Is disgusting. I mean, Mark Ingram has proven like Kamara wants to take that job, and Mark Ingram goes, nope. I'll go 166 for 3.
They're such a good tandem, and I didn't want to cut you off. Are you?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I'm going to go and L.A. L.A. I was about to say St. Louis. L.A. is showing they are a great team, and I do like them this year. The thing is, and I was trying to pull it up, but.
And that's
one thing
Bob
I will
Hartman
say.
says the Rams and then the Saints most likely.
The one thing I'll say about the Rams though, they have I think the next 2 games they play the Vikings, who are another contender, and then they play the Saints. Okay, so these next 2 games for the Rams are going to be.
And then the Eagles.
Yeah, and then the Eagles. So the next few
game.
games for the Rams are going to actually show who they are, and I think that
not only just the Rams. You look at those teams; it's going to show who
all
four
of
teams
them are.
Yeah, it's going to show who the Eagles are, the Vikings, the Saints, and the Rams.
Yeah. So here's
and what's Teddy Bridgewater going to bring to the
exactly
table?
if he does come, because Case Keenum is actually playing pretty
Finish
well.
your point, because I'm going to stop you right there.
So no, hold on. Here's how I rank them in terms of who I think are the biggest threats. Number 1 is Saints, 2 Rams, 3 Vikings. I would have loved the Vikings and don't kill me, if Sam Bradford had stayed healthy, because he had has command of that offense. Case Keenum, he's playing decent, but he's not. I don't believe in him to make a deep playoff run. And
I heard this week too that the plan is by the end of the season, Bridgewater's going to take over that team.
Well,
doesn't matter. Well, from what I read, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Bridgewater's their guy, and they want to get him.
I've heard the opposite. That if Case Keenum keeps playing well, he's going to be the guy. I'm not saying that that's what they should do. That's what I've heard. If they had Bradford in there. With Thielen and Diggs, you're talking about a top 3 wide receiver duo in the league, and a very, very, very good defense. The thing is that quarterback question. That's why I dropped them down. 2 is the Rams, and everything that you touched on is great. Sean McVay is an absolute genius when it comes to offensive scheming. He might be the best right now at calling schemes and plays. Like I'm watching the Rams, and they're so much fun to watch because those plays are they're I don't know how he comes up with them. So he's really good in that aspect.
A lot of Madden.
A lot. All right. The thing is with the Rams is, we match up well against them. All right. That offense, it goes through mainly Gurley, and then they spread the ball around. We stop the run very, very well, and also because we're such a balanced team now with Ajayi, the Rams defense, their one weakness on the defense is they can be run on by anyone. If you go back and watch their games, their secondary is good. Their defensive line is almost as very competent to our offense. Defensive line. Defensive line is very competent to ours. Very Aaron Donald. Are you kidding me? Possibly the defensive MVP this year. The thing is, they can be run on because their linebackers are kind of iffy there. So we can exploit that. And then when it comes to their offense, if you come up with a good game plan for their offense, they can be stopped. That's what make their offense is good because of the scheme, not because so much of the quarterback. Goff is doing a good job of executing the scheme, but not an excellent job. If you put someone better there, that offense could be lights out, best in the league. I mean, well, it is the best in the league, but what I'm saying is Goff still misses throws repeatedly if you watch the games. So I think we match up.
Well, I think he's a little behind as far as development with Carson too.
Well, yeah, he is. But what I'm saying is that's why I put them second. The reason why I put the Saints ahead is people want to.
Tom says it's his little hands.
Or he doesn't know where the sun rises or sets. The reason why I picked the Saints is because there's a whole notion that, they're only a dome team. No, that's not the case anymore. You look at their running back tandem, and that is scary. Yes, we're good against the run, and Gurley is better than both of them. But the thing is, they work so well off of each other because if you look, I saw.
I'd like to see them come in.
Wait,
here.
No, hold on.
Cold weather in Philly.
Yeah, I know, but hold on. In Buffalo, right? Everyone's like, okay, Buffalo, cold weather. What did they do against Buffalo? They ran all over them. Mark Ingram, I can see us stop because Mark Ingram is the in between the tackles runner. I saw like a diagram of Kamara and Ingram's runs this past week. Ingram's is mostly, literally, if you see all the lines on all that were highlighted, it was all between the tackles. Kamara's is outside the tackles. So, legit, they are using each of them to their strengths. The thing is, I can see us stopping Ingram, but if you look back on our defense, like, we have issues with receiving backs. Going back to Chris Thompson, going back to defending, like, even Matt Breida caught, the 49ers caught a screen pass. Touchdown against us.
Well, I think a lot of the problem too is we're not tackling. We got guys in the position to stop the plays. They're not making. But
what I'm saying is, if there is one part of our defense that can be exploited, it is with a pass catching running back in space, and that's exactly what Kamara is. People don't realize the Saints' offensive line is actually underrated and actually pretty beastly. Like they are big dudes, and they can. I'm not saying they can shut down our defensive line, but I think matchup-wise, out of all three of those teams that I mentioned, they're the offensive line that can put up the most fight. And then when you go on the defensive end for the Saints, their defensive line is really good, led by Cameron Jordan. And then obviously, it goes without saying, Marcus Lattimore. But that whole secondary, like Kenny Vaccaro, is playing awesome. And so I think matchup-wise, I have to look at how the Saints are built now, not how they were before. Like, Breeze didn't have a single touchdown pass, but they blew out the Bills. Guys, that is a running team that can also pass when they need to. So you're talking about a balanced offense that can beat you any which way. That's why I put the Saints ahead, is because I think matchup-wise, I'm not just looking like who can project and have the better record by the end of the season. I'm talking about if we were going to a game with them, how would we match up? And the Saints, to me, are the scariest team. Now, if we were to play in Philly, to me, that's still an advantage for us because they can't, they're still going to have a huge advantage in a dome at home. If you had to play in New Orleans, that would really worry me because
I agree with that.
But if you're in Philly, that's why I think it's so important for us to get that number one seed because we need to play a team like the Saints in Philly for us to have the best chance of winning.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. You have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just going to add. Don't sleep on the Vikings. I don't buy into anything what Case Keenum does. He can go out and throw another 4 touchdowns this week.
Yeah, it's not going to change my opinion on him.
All of a sudden, Teddy Two Gloves is coming in. Teddy is their guy. Teddy's their guy. Teddy wants to. The Vikings want Teddy to be the guy, and if he's healthy, he's there. And so
I can see it.
It's going to be one of those things to where I just don't sleep on it because you're right. The defense is there. It sucks Dalvin Cook got hurt because I would have loved to see what that offense looked like with Dalvin Cook, but McKinnon and
they're doing a really good job.
And Murray are doing a very good job of filling in and doing what they need to do from the running back position.
There's been a lot of key losses in running back.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's why I said if it wasn't for that quarterback, I would put the Vikings number one. But
but see, to me, it's not. To me, it's Teddy Bridgewater's job. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater's job. He, as much as I want to rip on him for being Teddy Two Gloves, he's a very good quarterback.
He is. Yeah, absolutely.
And he does command that offense once he's there.
But then look at 2 years. The last season he played was 2 years ago, correct? When they lost to the Seahawks in the playoffs, he wasn't tearing it up that season. Granted, he didn't have the weapons.
Year.
No, that was his second.
Okay, second year.
But what I'm saying,
and he didn't have the weapons.
No. What I'm saying is, you brought this up. You're the one that brought this up weeks ago when I mentioned the Vikings, and I said if they're going to go on a run, it's going to be behind Teddy Bridgewater. So in a way, I agree with you. But the thing is, to his point, what it was weeks ago, you're talking about a guy who hasn't played in how many years, and even when he does come back, he hasn't shown to be an elite or a very, very, very good quarterback. He's shown from what I remember, the last season he played, which was that season when they went to the playoffs. He wasn't that good.
But he's got better talent, I think, around him now.
And
yes, and I agree with that.
They're going to ease him into that. And that's everything I've read is that they are going to ease him into that.
Mike Zimmer is one hell of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was another one of those guys in the chip year, that you missed out on.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if we're ever going to, I was a chip guy, so I didn't mind it. But I did know that Mike Zimmer was going to be a hell of a head coach.
Yeah.
And especially in Minnesota, where he already had the defense, all he did was develop an offense, and he finally did.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I do like the Vikings. Like I said, that wide receiver duo, I've been touting them since last year. They are so underrated as a duo. Like, you're talking about Diggs and Thielen. Do you see that? Like, it's right now, I can't think of a wide receiver duo that I honestly would take over them right now. Even with, you have, with the Steelers, right? You have Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown. They may be the wide receiver core that I would take, but Diggs and Thielen, oh my God, they're good. So I would like to see them come out and be that biggest threat. The quarterback thing is still just the question mark where I can't put them over the Rams or Saints.
Bob Hartman, you guys aren't confident Maxwell can step in for Sherman?
Burnt toast.
Burn Byron, it's coming. Burn Byron.
But yeah, I mean, obviously Cowboys week, a lot of excitement surrounding this week. We're really pumped for it. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but what I did want to go into, obviously, this is off of football. We had a big loss here in Philadelphia and really in the sports world. Roy Halladay, obviously, unfortunately he passed away.
Man. Prayers up.
And one of the real good guys in sports, and really just in general as a human being. I mean, he did a lot in Toronto. He started a lot of different foundations. He came here and very much accommodated himself to the city. And, for a guy that, he played 16 years and only 4 of them were in this city, he's one of the most, I think, and it's really showing, beloved sports figures that has ever worn the red pinstripes. I could tell you, for me, I'm a Cardinals fan, and the best pitched game I've ever seen. And I'm a baseball guy. I love football. I love all sports, but really I'm a baseball guy at heart. I played it my whole life. And for me, I'm not one of those guys who thinks that if it's not an offensive game, it's not exciting. Best pitch game I've ever seen ever was, and I know Philly fans are still hurting from this game, but NLDS 2011 Game 5. Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay. You want to talk about a clinic.
Two buds, too.
Yeah.
Two buds, two fishing buddies.
That's what I'm saying. You talk about the subplot. These guys came up together in the minor leagues in Toronto. They went through a lot of parallels in their career with Toronto, then leaving Toronto. Carpenter went to St. Louis and kind of sat out with injury issues. Halladay had to reinvent himself when he struggled, came back up a whole new pitcher, and really might be the best pitcher of his generation if you really sit and break down the numbers. How many seasons did he lead in complete games? Was that 7? 6, 7?
Jason Stark broke some stuff down, and pretty much what it summed up is he was the greatest pitcher of our generation, or of his generation, of our, Yeah. Because I think ultimately Kershaw is going to get to there, but as of his generation, the guys that are no longer there, Jason Stark basically put out numbers that he was the greatest of the generation.
Yeah,
he was dominant.
And what I would hope, I know that NLDS game carries a lot of grief for Philly fans. A, because you had a 100-win team and they lost. And B,
it's the Cliff Lee that gets me more than that game.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's the one that gets you.
Well, it's the parallel to the Kershaw game this year.
Yeah,
you have a 4-0 lead, and you're the man.
Yeah,
getting paid a lot of getting paid buku bucks to get the job done,
and don't get it done.
And didn't get done.
In fairness, in a lot of playoff games, he didn't get it done.
No, I took a lot of heat for this holiday situation.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, because you were on it.
Too much. I mean, it broke down at like 2:45. I got a message from somebody I really trust that is close to the situation. Said, "Hey, you didn't hear this from me, but the tail numbers match." So, I waited till 3:06, and I dug a little bit, and I was like, "Man, I bought the plane 3 days ago." Yeah. I hate to say it, bought the plane 3 days ago. You don't let your buddy borrow your car.
No.
You're not letting your best friend borrow your brand new A5. So when I found out there was one guy in there, you put it together. And there's no way, like, I'm not trying to break death. Right. You know what I'm saying? I just was putting it out there, and people were like, oh, you have no facts behind it. Yes, I do, actually. And I'm, whatever. It's sad that people are actually going to attack in terms of you just putting something out there that, man, a great just passed away.
Yeah. Right.
And, when you found out that the announcement was coming at 4:15, listen, brother, they don't announce for jabrones like us, okay? We're not getting a special announcement.
At a press conference.
Yes, you knew it was a person of validity.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yeah, interest. Great one. So it's sad, dude. Nobody worked harder than this guy. Kids should look up to him. My buddy Zach was able to umpire his game a week ago and just said, man, his passion on the field is exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
And, got on him a little bit, too, for maybe some calls he didn't like. But, and just people who have ran into him that I've spoken to say he's just a great guy. And, Mike Felger, who's a jackass, listen, should he have been doing it? No, of course not. But there's ways to talk about it and not rip on the deceased and crush his family while doing it in a way. Like, should he have been that's why you buy that plane.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
you buy that plane for that reason. Now, was he maybe going a little crazy and doing things he maybe wasn't prepared for? Sure.
It depends.
But it took his life. So don't rip him because of it.
You hear reports that he was trying to practice so that if it came into play, he knew how to handle it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just hit it.
If you think of Doc, that's who it was. He was a tactician. He wanted to make sure that if something had to happen, he knew how to handle that plane being brand new. Especially
when he's had his kid up there.
Yeah.
He's had other family members up there. I know there was a tweet from his dad that he put out 3 or 4 days beforehand, and his dad's like, "Man, you fly that thing like a fighter jet." And Roy's response back, "It is." Yeah. And it's just, listen, he went out something he loved to do.
Yeah.
So, listen, it's sad. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking. My thoughts and prayers go out to his entire family, his young kids. And it's just a sad way to go. The only thing you can take positive, man, at least he went out doing something he loved to do. And they need to check them planes, man, because this has been going on for a while. The owner, the guy who created the plane, died the same way. So
crazy.
There's an issue with that A5 and the way it's being built and to be able to land on the water. But yeah, I mean, Mike Felger, just a better way to go about it. You don't have a good
classless.
A good buddy of mine said, I agree with what Felger said. And I said, I'm not saying I don't agree with the premise. I don't agree with attacking a guy over it. Hey, man, you shouldn't have been that reckless when you have kids. Okay, fair. Leave it there, dude. Maybe wait a couple days. But when you're looking for clickbait, you're looking for ratings and all this other shit in today's day and age, you're going to say outlandish things. And the company you work for, they handled it well. I think they suspended him a day or a couple of days, whatever. And it'll go away. But not the way to handle the situation.
Yeah.
There's better ways. It's typical Boston crumbs. That's why I don't like Barstool.
One of our guys that Tom and I work with up at the facility, Jeff Singer, he's in the Phillies system. He was with him 2 or 3 days right before. He was down in Florida.
Yeah.
Was with him. And, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and
I made the mistake today of watching the live stream at work when Brandy was talking.
It's on my DVR.
Yeah, that was probably a mistake.
Yeah.
While you're still at work.
When his wife was talking?
Yeah, when his wife was talking.
What did she say? I don't care if you guys go a couple more. I don't.
No, it
that
was just
bother me.
She was just saying that, it got towards the end, and she was saying how the boys had already stepped up, and she goes, no, keep being kids. She goes, let me be something that I know I can do, and that's be your mom. You know what I mean? She's like, let me be the crazy mom. She thanked everybody, obviously, for the outpouring of love. She went back and she highlighted how they met at the gym after she had dropped out of high school, and she went home and told her parents after the first time that they re-met, this is the guy I'm going to marry. And then she went out that night and beat him in pool.
Nice.
And so Roy had to buy ice cream that night. But she was talking about how stoic he was, and how now all the eyes are on her as opposed to their whole life, all the eyes were on him because of how stoic he was and how much of a god he was on the baseball field. And, and then, of course, she went into what he did off the field for the family and stuff like that. So it was really well done. I didn't get to hear I heard what Cole said. I didn't get to hear what Chase said or what Charlie said. But I heard Cole's 3 or 4 minutes up there.
That's long. Yeah, well, for Cole, I thought you meant Chase for a second. I'm like, that's long.
No.
If Chase goes 3 or 4.
And I
went out an F-bomb.
Yeah. I said it tongue-in-cheek right after it happened. If one thing that it did affirm is Cole Hamels is going to be back in this city.
Yeah.
Cole Hamels, he looks too right at home.
Comfortable.
He looks too good and right at home in front of us and in front of this.
Sleep on the futon, Daddy. Yeah. Love to have you. Lay down. Rest your head.
So, it was probably the wrong mistake to watch it work.
Yeah. I mean, it's on my DVR. I'm definitely going to check it out. But, I mean, I could tell you, again, I'm a baseball fan. And to watch that game was one of the best games ever. And I have – people are going to hate me for this. I have the Cardinals Championship DVD, and the full broadcast came with that DVD. So I can go back and watch it again. But I've had people even tell me, I went back on YouTube and watched that game. And it's like I'm watching it for the first time. I know the result, but, the drama in it. Each pitch that's being thrown, and it's like, you just start to get all tense just watching it. I mean, between two masters with an amazing backstory to that. And really, it might be one of the best. I mean, I know he threw, obviously he threw a perfect game, threw a no-hitter in the playoffs. When you talk about, a matchup of that magnitude, that might be one of the, if not the best, one of the best games he's ever actually pitched. So I think if you go back, and I hope that in time Philly fans can look at that game and not look at the Ryan Howard injury and just kind of look back at the greatness of that game in baseball history, because especially now with the way that baseball is, where everything is, 2 innings up, you walk 2 guys, we're going to the bullpen. You may not see a matchup like that for a very long time, if ever again, in the playoffs in baseball. And I could tell you, as a Cardinal fan, I go to a lot of baseball games, and no matter who you were a fan of, if you were a fan of the away team, if you were a fan of the Phillies, if you were a fan of another team just going to a ball game, I could tell you the same sentiment is what I always felt whenever I talked to people. You knew nothing got you more excited than a day that you knew Roy Halladay was taking the ball that day to go watch the ballpark, because you were watching greatness in front of you. So, I mean, it hit me hard a lot, and I did go over and check out the fan-made memorial outside of the stadium and got to take some pictures and really kind of check it out. And they had a jersey, and I got to sign the jersey. And just even standing there, there was people just having a conversation, talking about, in Toronto, it's a very similar sentiment. And, just people talking about what the vibe was up there and how broken up people were about it. And it tells you a lot. And it's unfortunate that, I don't think he was ever someone that was underappreciated. But, man, like, the level of his greatness around the league, I think it went under the radar until this. And now people are looking like, wow, like, he may be the best pitcher of this generation. You hear about the Kershaws and the Greinke's. Not to say the best pitcher of the generation, but like guys who played the same time. So, it's a really, really sad scenario. And I do want to just, because Bob's been commenting on it, Bob Hartman, just kind of run down what he was posting on Facebook. Doc was an artist on the mound. He was great. The guy that created the plane died in a similar way. For Doc, the plane is marketed for exactly that, being dangerous. He said, yep, shed a little tear or two during the ceremony. Doc wasn't here long, but he really made an impression on us Phillies fans on and off the mound. I think that kind of is a good way to kind of wrap it up there. Not just Phillies fans, I think just the baseball world in general, sports world in general. So, again, thanks, guys. And you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. Well, just thanks for tuning in for our debut show.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We'll be here every week.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us for the debut episode of Birds of a Feather here on A2D. Again, thank you to our segment sponsor, StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Guys, have a good week. Cowboys week, baby. We'll see you next week.
Fly Eagles fly.